Welcome to Digital Tools for School. This is a Kentucky Virtual Library class where we are going to look at things you can use with your children for their schoolwork. This is the landing page for the Kentucky Virtual Library. Before we get started, we're going to find out how you can get here from the library webpage. So this mclib.net, this is our main page. We're going to close this out. And there's a couple of different ways of getting there. I think the easiest one is to go to Quick Access and click the little down arrow, and you'll find Kentucky Virtual Library in there. And that'll bring you here. Now, if you are at the library, you can get right into it. If you are at home, it's going to ask you to log in. And we can't put out those login passwords for everyone. They're only for people in the state. So if you need the password, you will call the library and ask. The reason for that is that the state has paid for it just for residents. And these are pretty expensive databases, so they have to try to make sure that it's just for people who they actually mean to use it. Also, the passwords change. I think it's once a year. So if you ever log in with what you know was the right password but doesn't work, call the library and see if it has changed. Okay, we are going to go right here, this orange bar across the top. There are different groups here, college and adult, K12 librarians. You can do a search here that searches everything. That's something I searched earlier. Or you can go to databases. We're going to go to for K12 students. Then all these things drop down. We're going to look at elementary, middle, and high. And I'm going to show you this resources overview poster that you can get from here. I looked at Research Rocket and how to do research, and I decided we're not really going to get into that tonight. We're just going to learn how to find the resources, how to access them, and some of the features. So I'm going to click on elementary. We'll start there. And the first one we're going to go to is actually close to the bottom of the page. They have these by encyclopedias and then places where you can look up articles, and then these are the extra things down here that don't fall into either of those categories. We're going to go to fundamentals first. The reason why I want to start here is that this is something you can use with even pre-K kids, and it goes up to about 2nd grade. So this doesn't have a search function. It just has these 4 paths and you choose which one you want. I'm going to go to create because I think it's the most fun. So with this, your kids can actually just draw. There are the tools over here. You can choose what you want to use. This is an eraser. This will give you a background color. Sorry, that's the background color. This is stickers. Spray paint, pencil, and a brush. So you choose what you want to use and you choose your color, and then your kids can just draw on here all day. If they do something that they don't like, this is the undo. So it will make everything they did go away. If you make smaller things like that, it will do one thing at a time. So it's everything since the last time you let go of your mouse. This is something you can actually maybe put your kids in front of when you are really busy. They can print out what they do. This is a background. They can choose a background and then draw over and under it. So that is the create. We're not going to go through all these, but I'm going to show you Explora. So this is all geography and science. You choose one of these that you want to learn more about, and click on it. It will show you where that kind of thing is. And then there's this little video that comes up. And there's also read and play. And remember that the play has math games and some other skills. So that one is the Britannica Fundamentals. It's the only one that's really for pre-K, and again, it goes up through 2nd grade. The next thing we're going to look at is Britannica School Elementary. This is an encyclopedia, and the cool thing about it is that it has articles in multiple reading levels. So you can, if you want to start down here, there's a link to fundamentals where we just were. I'm going to go ahead and search, and I'm going to search for frogs. So they've got level 1 and level 2, and I don't think that there's always 3 levels, but in this one there is. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this first thing. So here it only has 1 and 2. So this is the level 1. It's a pretty big print, not very difficult to read probably. If you want to read more, there's this little scroll down at the bottom. And then level 2, as you can see, it gets more complex. It does have a level 3. Okay, so you've got your pictures down here. This is one of the ones that is good for pictures. Some of them aren't as good for this. So I know sometimes when the kids are doing homework, they really want a picture for their report. And this is something that you can use for that. You have your tools up here where I'm moving my mouse right now. A lot of these databases will read aloud to you, so you can click that and it will start to read.
Various tailless amphibians belonging to the order.
So I don't know if you can hear that, but it's reading it aloud and it highlights where it's reading. And citation is a really big deal for middle school and high school students. I don't know if it's as important for elementary, but I think it's a good thing to learn. So it has several different citation styles. This only has 4. Some of the ones for older students have a lot more. MLA is pretty basic, and your kids may not have to do this if they're in elementary school, but they may have to be able to say where they got the information from. And that is one thing that is a lot better about databases, because if they just search something online, sometimes it can be hard to tell exactly where it came from and how old it is. So as you can see, this is from Britannica School, Encyclopedia Britannica, from the 6th of February 2019. It says when it was accessed, and it has a link where the teacher can go back to where your student got it. You can also print. Sometimes you can translate these in other languages. You can make the fonts bigger, and this can be really good if your students are having trouble reading, and you can also make it smaller. So that's level 2 again, and reading level 1. So it's a basic encyclopedia. The next thing we're going to look at is Explora. And there's an Explora for middle school and high school as well. They all look a little bit different. There will be some articles up here at the top, and these will change from time to time. You can also scroll down here and you'll get all of these categories. So one thing that you can use this for is if your kid has to do a report and they can choose a subject, you can go to something like this to start narrowing down like the whole world into a subject that they can actually get their heads around. So I'm going to click on social studies, and then it's these are all the different things that it covers. And if you scroll down, it's just going to be quite a lot of information. When you click on this, it's not going to go directly into an article. It goes into search results. And this page isn't rendering very well right now. As you can see, it still says loading up at the top. It's been doing this for a little while. I think they'll have it fixed soon. It looks really weird, but if you just keep scrolling down, down, and down, you'll get to your search results in a second. So here's the second one. It's an ebook. It's on Pennsylvania farming. This will tell you who it's from, who published it, what the year was. So this is a whole ebook that your students can have access to through Explora. You can also just do a basic search in Explora. I'm going to go back to the beginning. So you can search something up here. So I'm going to put in word farms, and it will take you straight to this. So if you know what you want to search, you can just do a basic search. So it's a little different. If you want a whole book, you can come and get that here. There are other ways to get books. We're going to look at those in a minute. So that's Explora. Another way to get articles is primary search. So primary search, it doesn't have an age range. I think that it would be good for, say, age 2 to 6. I think it's in there for K through 6, but it's going to be something that I think most kindergarten students would look at and really be uninterested in. So I'm going to look up the word farms again. And then you've got your basic search results. Again, different from the internet. This tells you out front who wrote it, when it was published. You can see how many pages it was. You've got a reading level, so there's a lot more information about your information if you get it from a database than if you get it from the internet. So I'm not trying to knock the internet. If you just want a quick fact, it's really awesome. But if you're doing schoolwork, I think that it's in some ways easier to use one of these. So this is from something called Cobblestone. This is from one called Muse. Crabtree. Oh, sorry, that's somebody's name. Hello Magazine, Scholastic Action. Some of these will have HTML full text and PDF, and some of them will only have one. If you do PDF, it'll actually take you to the way it looked in the original publication. It usually opens up really quick. There it goes. So this is exactly how it looked in the original. This is just the same page that you would look at if you had it in print. And we're going to go ahead and go back. And if it's just HTML, sometimes that doesn't look as good. But it's got all the information. This is another one that you can read. They have thoughtfully put it on American accent, but you can choose Australian or British, which sounds like a lot more fun if that's what you're into. This little symbol is a download. This is a download for the audio and not for the text. Over here on the right, there are these tools again. If you want to hook this up to your Google Drive, you can save it there. You can, if you want to, make an account and sign in to use a folder, or you can email it to yourself. You can save it, and here's your citation. So this has all the different ways of citing. If you just go down, MLA is pretty basic. Again, in elementary school, I don't know if kids have to do this now, but when we get to middle school and high school, you'll definitely want to know about this. And I'm going to go back. So that one is primary search, and Explora is the one where they had it out by categories, and Britannica is the Encyclopedia. I'm not going to go to the Funk and Wagnalls Encyclopedia because it's pretty much the same thing as the Britannica. It's not quite as good looking for, I think, elementary school, but it will be something that they will know how to use. Down here at the bottom, School Center is something that is K12, so you'll see this again. We'll go ahead and click on it. So this has a lot of things like geometry practice, operations, algebraic thinking practice. I have tried to use this with a student who's trying to get through a geography question, and I think it's a little bit tricky to use if you're trying to actually get through a specific homework assignment. But if you want something where you can kind of test your kids and see how they're doing, there are practice tests. Sorry, if you're going to do the practice test, you do have to sign in, but it's a free account. You don't have to pay for it. I forgot about that. This is a part of Learning Express, and we're going to see more about this later. And we actually have a whole class on Learning Express that is on YouTube. It's on Learning Express in Linda. But this is actually a test, 15 questions. I think it takes about 75 minutes. And if you have a fourth grader who has to take geometry, this is why you can test them. So again, that school center, it goes K12. It has more than math. I'm not going to go through all of it, but we'll look again at what they've got. Math and English. And then if you go into middle school, there's more. It puts in social studies and high school entrance exam prep. And then in high school, it puts in more. So logic and reasoning is something that they test on things like ACT and SAT. So this might be something that would be good for prepping for those. Again, that one is school center. Now these down here are the library book collections: Tumblebook Library, Team Book Cloud, and EBSCO eBooks K8 collection. One good thing about Tumblebook and Team Book Cloud is that the books that are AR books will tell you what level they are and how many points they are. Not everything in those are AR books, but if they are, you'll be able to find that out. Team Book Cloud, you probably won't use if you have a K5 student, but there are probably some things in there fifth grader could read. But Tumblebook is what you'll usually use if you have an elementary school student. So as you can see, this is a pretty good looking website. I think that a lot of kids would like to look at this. And they have read-alongs, so if you have someone who's having trouble the reading, this will help them with that. And you can skip to nonfiction. There are a few videos. There's some language learning and puzzles and games. I'm just going to click on a book. You can read it online and you can do a quiz. This isn't like the AR test. It will just be a quiz to just kind of let you see how your kid's doing. So I'm going to click read online. And I don't know if you can hear this, but it's going to go through the whole thing and actually start reading.
I'm running in place, listening to my feet pound the pavement, pretending I'm the fast.
I'm going to go ahead and pause that there so you can see from that how it works. So the blue button takes you forward and you can hit the yellow button to play. You can turn the volume off and close that there. So that's Tumblebook Library. It's got quite a lot. We're not going to go through all of these because that would take forever, but it's a pretty good deal there. We will look at Team Book Cloud later. I'm going to go ahead and click on the K8 collection. So this one comes to this kind of boring EBSCOhost search page. If you go up here to ebooks, then you can just browse. So it's more fun. And there are all these categories down the side. So if you know that your kid needs to read a biography, you can just go straight to that. There's a nonfiction page. If you have a kid who only wants nonfiction, you can go straight to that. If you keep going down, you can see there are lots of categories to choose from. So I'm just going to pick one. We're going to look at ambulances. And you go over here to PDF full text when you actually want to read it, and it'll just open up as a PDF for you. So I think Tumblebook is a lot cooler, and it's the one that tells you if your book is AR. But EBSCOhost will be a good thing to try out too. Novelist is a database where you can look up authors and you can get ideas for books. You can search different styles of books, and like if you like a Beverly Cleary book, you can look her up and get the list of all the other things she's read. We will probably do a whole class in Novelist someday. It usually looks a lot better than this. It's doing the same thing that Explora did, and I tried Explora in another browser and it didn't work. So I'm sure they will get whatever it is fixed soon. This is really awful, but you can see they have all these different categories, and they will change. Obviously, they're doing haunting and compelling now for Halloween, but they will change that with every season. And it looks really bad, so we're just going to go back. Okay, so that is pretty much everything from K12, or sorry, K5. There's a couple things we didn't click on. We're going to look at Middle Search Plus when we go to the middle school page. So we can go ahead and do that now. Once it gets to middle school, it's a little more self-explanatory. I think like in K5, there are some things for the younger kids, but with this, anyone in middle school should be able to use any of these. One thing about KYVL, which I think puts people off a little bit, is that there is so much information that is a little intimidating. So that's why we're doing this class, to break it down. You recognize Tumblebook Library. Some of this stuff, they had Middle Search Plus on the last page. There's another Britannica. This one is Annals of American History. Britannica School Middle is quite a bit like what we looked at on the last page for K5. They also have this young adults. So I'm going to click on this Britannica for American History. And this is really tiny, so I don't know if it will show very well, but when you go over this timeline, it will tell you down there, and the I guess we'll call that a brown bar, will tell you what it's about. So the first one is Discovering the New World, and if you just keep going forward, it will tell you about what was going on in that era. Of course, these are really broad. Some of them, like this one's 7 years, and then that one's Crosses of the Nation. Some of the periods are longer. This one is a lot longer. So if you know exactly what you want to go to, you can search it, or you can search any of these, or you can click on one of these. And these are primary sources. So this is an address that Woodrow Wilson made in 1916 to the National American Women's Suffrage Association Convention. There are, on other ones I saw earlier today, the Mayflower Compact and Monroe's second inaugural address. So it's lots of things like speeches, historic documents, memoirs, things that were actually written at the time when these things were happening. So it's kind of a different look at history than things that are written after the fact. So if your kids are doing a history project, Annals of American History will be a really good place to start. Oh, and if you click on these, there's Cite This Document. It has at the bottom, so it's got the author's name, the name of what it is, the Revolution in Agriculture, where it's from, Annals of American History, and when it was accessed, and then there's the link where the teacher can go back to this. You can also email the document or print it. This is the Britannica Library for Young Adults. So over here, it pretty much tells you what it has. The reason I want to cover it is that it has some atlas information, and a lot of these don't really cover the atlas. So that could be useful. So you double click on a place to zoom in. You just grab it and pull it around to move it. So if your kids don't know how to use an atlas, you can bring them here. There are also articles, you have images and videos, biographies. It's basically another encyclopedia. And then Britannica School Middle is pretty much the same thing. So I actually don't really know why they have this under two different names. Oh, and a lot of these things you can do in Spanish. And in some of them, if you change the language, it just changes the language of like the menu and not the information. But this one, it has everything, I think, in Spanish. So if you click on these, we'll see that this is in English, so I'm not sure. Okay, when it gets to this part, it is all in Spanish. So if you have anyone who is Spanish speaking, Britannica School Middle has Spanish. Okay, so back to the middle school page. We're not going to click on all these. We already saw the ebooks collection. That is exactly the same as what we looked at on the last page. Career Prep is a part of the Learning Express library, and I don't think I told you before, but these little eyes, they will give you a little snippet of what this is about. So these prepare you for career exams and exploring careers. This one could be good if your kid has to do some kind of a what I want to be when I grow up report, because it will give information on just about any job you can think of. And the workplace skills it's talking about are things like interviewing. There's Explora again, and it's pretty much like the elementary one, but it's different pictures and it's different information. So if you see one that you want to look at, you click on it and it'll take you to your search results again. This one is Encyclopedia. They are a lot of these from encyclopedias. This is a government document, so it's a government report. It is going to be dry as powder and kind of hard to read. Here's Time Magazine. That one will be a little bit easier. So again, that is Explora. I'm not crazy about Explora. I feel like maybe when they get it fixed so that the page comes up and it looks better, I might like it better. But it is, I think, potentially helpful to have all these categories down here, because sometimes if the teacher tells you to research something and doesn't tell you exactly what to research, you can spend half of your time choosing your topic, and something like this could really help with that part. There is another encyclopedia, and we'll look at opposing viewpoints on the high school page. These two, Master File and Mass Ultra, Middle Search Plus, these three are just ways to find articles. So it's going to be articles for a middle school reading level, and they are going to look exactly the same when you click on them. And I don't really know if any of them are better than the other. They're all from EBSCO. And your kid may decide that they like Master File or Middle Search Plus and never click on the others, and that's probably absolutely fine. I'm just going to click on Middle Search Plus so you see what it looks like. So you already recognize this page. It's got the blue bar and the search in the middle. And most of this you can just leave blank. You usually don't have to do anything about this. If your teacher tells you you have to have something within the last 5 years, you can change your dates here. If you do that and then you do a search, it should only bring back things that are published in that range. If you do this and your kid is getting stuff that is too easy or too hard, you can adjust the Lexile reading level. I'm going to show you a website later where you can get an idea of what the Lexile reading level might be for your kid. You can change the publication type. If you leave it alone, it's going to search all of this. So there's newspapers, books, periodicals. Full text is a really good thing. When you are in the middle school, it's probably still mostly going to be full text, but then when you get into high school, there will be more things where it will tell you about an article that you can't just access from the computer. So it's a good idea to go ahead and start clicking on full text. So I'm just going to put in something kind of generic, American Revolution. And here we go. So this is from Junior Scholastic. It was published last year. It's 4 pages long. It's available in PDF. There are a few videos. So if your kid has to do some kind of a research, it is possible that you could come to one of these websites and do one search and get 5 different sources right away, because these are different things. This one's from View of the Revolution, which I'm thinking is probably an ebook. Oh, it's a primary source. And I should have told you about this. It will tell you over here on the side what it is. So that one's a periodical. This one is a reference book. And your teachers may start telling you at middle school level not to use encyclopedias anymore. I can't remember, and I was in middle school 100 years ago, but you'll want to watch for that if your teachers tell you not to use encyclopedias, and this is a lot of encyclopedias. And if you are supposed to avoid that, you can go back to the search and change the source. I'm just going to click on that. And there's these tools down the side again. We've seen these before. The subjects can help you if you aren't really sure which one to click on and you don't want to click on 20 different things and read them all. You kind of want to be faster than that. You can see these subjects and tell if one of them is a little bit better for what you're doing. Another thing to look at is the page number. So this is 5 pages long. Some of them will be 1 page, and it could just be like a little factoid or a little blurb on the side of another article that's not really enough to bother with. So that will depend on how old your kid is and how much information they need. But page number and subjects and the date are 3 good things to look at. And there's the PDF again. I'm not going to click on it, but if you click on that, it will have this article. It's from Storyworks from 2018. It's 4 pages long. So I clicked on Middle Search Plus, but Mass Ultra and Master File are going to be pretty much the same thing. So you'll just kind of want to check them out and see if there's one that you like best. There's not going to be a lot of difference. We already looked at School Center. That is the one that's K12, and Novelist we looked at. Novelist is really a pretty good one. It's just not working today. Topic search, I'm not crazy about topic search. It's another one that's kind of like Explora. If you scroll down, there are some topics down here. So sometimes you will have to have, a family issues research assignment or something like that, and you can go straight to that, and it'll only search things that if you'll fall into this topic. I don't know. I'm not crazy about topic search, but you may want to try it out. There's the Lexile reading level again, the document type again, and publication type. So you can click through these and see what you like. There may be a time when you are supposed to find something like a letter or a speech, and you can look for those things down here. There's your full text limiter. So I'm not going to do another search because really once you do a search here, it's just like the last thing we looked at. Teen Book Cloud is pretty cool. So there's up here the different categories you can click on. If you have a kid who only likes graphic novels, you can go straight to that. There's a Common Core portal. If you are trying to deal with the Common Core, that's something I don't really know a lot about, but maybe this means something to you. I'm just going to click on one. So these actually give you some titles that they think will go with that, and there are some lesson plans. So if you are a homeschooler, Teen Book Cloud, Common Core portal might help you. I'm going to click on nonfiction. So right there's Common Core again, Common Core supporting materials. Then history books, civics, science. Just go click on one. So there's read online. So this is a lot like Tumblebook at this point. probably a little less cute when I get started. So this tells you where it came from, when it was published. This is from the Washington Post from 2007. So this is just an article. And we're not going to read all that, but so even though it says Teen Book Cloud, this says book details, but it's from the Washington Post, and it takes 2.5 minutes to read it. So I think that is just an article. I don't know why they're calling it a book. But there's a search here, so probably if you're using this, you're probably going to actually want to go to the search instead of just browsing around. So there's a lot of search options here. You can go by keyword, and there are a ton of those. There is AR level, so if you are trying to find an AR book, you can pick your level, so that's super easy. If you know a Lexile score that you're aiming for, you can do that. Genres, oh, there's AP English as a genre. And temple time is an idea of how long it will take to read it. Of course, there's author and title. So that is Teen Book Cloud. Actually, we were on middle school. I don't know why I took them back to teeth then. Another thing I forgot to show you earlier, this is a URL. So this will bypass the beginning page of Kentucky Virtual Library and come straight to middle. And elementary has the same thing as /elementary, and high school has the same thing too down there. That is pretty much everything for the middle school page. So we will go over to the high school page. So 2 things that are introduced on the high school page are 2 Proquest databases. Career and technical education will be about vocational and technical topics. So if your kid is doing any kind of vocational things, they might find some information here. And Alt Press Watch is independent presses, so it's things like regional magazines. Admissions test prep can help with things like trying to get into college. There's Annals of American History again. There's Britannica School High School. So I'm not going to click on that, but we already looked at Britannica School for elementary and for middle, so this is just the next step up. There are 2 or 3 different things in here from Learning Express. This one is computer skills. We already have a class on a lot of different aspects of Learning Express, and it is on our YouTube page, and I'll show you guys that before we go. There's Explora for high schools. It looks exactly like the one for middle school. So opposing viewpoints is one that they also put on the middle school page. I thought I'd just go ahead and save it for high school. This is based on a book series called Opposing Viewpoints. And most of the things that you find in research are, they're not opinion pieces, but this one will have some opinion pieces in it. So you can do a search if you know what you're searching, or you can go through here and it will show you different issues. So this is one that's kind of like a topic search. I like it a little bit better. It might be because I'm used to it, because I've used it in schools I've worked at before. So when you click on one, there's all this information down here. And this, it says right up front that it's viewpoints, so it's not always going to be like an encyclopedia article about what depression is or what causes it. It's going to be more opinion about the topic. What is controversial about this, or what's new about this? Let's see. So this one is from the Encyclopedia of American Law. I'm trying to find some of the different sources. NewYorkTimes.com video collection. And if you use something like this, you'll be able to cite it. And this is this is Gale. We've looked at EBSCOhost. So they will put their citations in different places, but once you know to look for it, you can generally find it. So it goes straight to MLA, which is probably what you'll be using in high school. And you can just copy that and paste it into a bibliography. I will say that you need to check it because sometimes they will have something like the title in all caps and that's wrong, but usually it's right. You can also send it to people, you can download it, print it. So if you find this online, then you've got to figure out how to do the MLA yourself. It's one of the main things I like about this. It's so much easier to do your bibliography. I'm going to go back. Even though this is based on a specific book series, the Opposing Viewpoint series, it will have other things in here. So here's the Chronicle of Higher Education, Spectator, All Things Considered. So you could come to something like this again, and you can get several different sources from one search. And that can save you a lot of time. And if you use this part up here, if you click on the read more, it will take you to their Opposing Viewpoints explanation of it. And there's a citation for that. Okay, so this one has master file and the Mass Ultra. Is there another one? Oh, and academic search complete. And those are the three general things that will find all kinds of articles for you. And they are three really good sources. Academic search complete and Proquest are things that kids may see again if they go to college. So it's a good thing to learn how to use them. I don't think we've clicked on a Proquest, so let's go to one of those. And once you get into Proquest and you're at high school level, you're going to want to click that full text every time. Just make it easier for yourself. And I'm just going to put in something generic again. We're going to search for Kentucky. So this is the Alt Press Watch. I don't know. I've never used it for like high school level, but here's the kind of thing that they have. So Louisville Eccentric Observer, that's pretty interesting. The Advocate, The Writer, Art Forum, Mother Jones. So it's just a little bit different. You won't find New York Times or like The Guardian or Atlantic Monthly or anything like that in here. You can go over here to source type and choose one of these, and there are more down there. Scholarly journals are the kind of thing that you really have to use once you get up to college level. They are things that are written primarily by people who are doing like professor level research. It's usually peer reviewed, which means that it goes to a committee where other people in that subject area check it before it goes out into the world. Probably for high school, you'll be okay with like newspapers and magazines. And then trade journals is basically a magazine, but it's going to be something specific. It's not going to be general. So a lot of professions have a trade magazine, like librarianship has a library journal. So that's what that refers to. I'll go ahead and click through on one of these. So this one has an abstract. If you keep going down, this is all the full text on this page. Looks like you can get this saved as a PDF. And there's the citation. So this one comes up on APA. So if your teacher tells you what to use, you want to make sure you get it. You can change to MLA. If you don't know, use the most up-to-date one. So if you change that, it will give you a new one. And again, you have to read through it and make sure that it looks right. This one looks funny because it's got such a long title, but it looks like it's correct. So you would just copy that and paste it. Okay, I don't know if there's anything else on this page that's new. We've seen pretty much all of this before. Okay, so another thing I want to show you is if you go to this K12 and you go to the resources overview poster, it will bring you to this. These can change. They will add things and they will take things out. So this isn't an absolutely perfect document, but it will give you an idea if you come back to this later, what you can have. Like if you know your kid needs a map or an atlas, you can go and say, okay, Britannica School has those, so I'm going to go straight to that. If you know that your kid needs an image, they pretty much all have that. There's ebooks in these three, so this can be really useful. You can just download that, you can print it out and keep it. Another thing that may be useful to you is Wolfram Alpha, and this is not a part of Kentucky Virtual Library. It's just a website that I have used in some other places. I was trying to help a kid with a geography problem a while ago, and I have repressed every memory I have of geography class. So I was really not helping with that at all, but it covers a lot of mathematics topics. I don't even know what some of this stuff is, but if you click on geometry, you will get to another page of stuff that I don't understand. But if you keep going, apparently some days will open. I don't know if this means anything to you, but it's all on here on Wolfram Alpha. It is a free website. It does have something where you can make an account, and I believe it has like a paid for version. But all this stuff is stuff you can do without logging in. I'm going to go back to their homepage. So they have other things. I think it started out being primarily math, but they keep adding to it. So there are other, there's household math. So this is something that might be useful. And if you look up Lexile, I went to scholastic.com. So this is something that you don't really want to treat like a straitjacket. Like if your kid is in grade 3, but he's not reading this Lexile, I don't know how big a deal that is, but I think it's supposed to be more of like a guideline. So that is, a lot of those articles refer to the Lexile score. So this will give you an idea of where you might be. And then this is a Scholastic Guiding Reading Program. This is a different Scholastic Lexile recommendation, and I don't even know what the DRA level stands for. There's Developmental Reading Assessment, but this is Lexile. And one last thing, we have a new thing called Scholastic Teachables. So it has, I can't remember everything that it has. It has worksheets and stuff like that. So you can get to this from our website if you go to the services and for kids and just click on that. So that was a flying trip through Kentucky Virtual Library and a couple of other things. I hope that you will find it useful, and if you need help with this, just call the library. Thank you.